absolutely fantastic. That was my lesson. We're done. Go home. Hey, so we're going to switch things up a little bit and do things a little different. So at the end of the last couple of lessons, we've been moving all the chairs and stacking them up, if you guys will remember. Well, today, because we're doing a little bit of a less formal Q&A powwow, what I thought we could do, if this is okay, and I did not ask in advance, and I'd like to apologize for that because I broke my own rule about asking, but I didn't. If we could stack the chairs up and then keep a chair for yourself, and then we're going to make a circle, but a socially distant circle. So if you stick your arms out, you shouldn't be able to touch the other people's arms. So if we could do that real quick and then just make a little circle here, and then we're going to circle up and we're going to have a little Q&A time, guys. A little Q&A, baby. Be right back. All right. Okay, so last week we talked about AARP. Who all was here last week? Was anyone not here last week? I asked two questions at the same time. That's my bad. Okay, was anyone not here last week? Cool. We talked about AARP, not the retired people one, but we talked about how to have difficult or uncomfortable conversations with people. So this week will be a Q&A about that very subject. So last week, I had you guys write down these questions on this note card, took all the note cards, about 6 of them said hi, which is fine, because I told you to do that. If you can't think of one, just write down hi. So to all of you who wrote that, hello. So that's the first question out of the way. So I'm going to open up by talking about what those 4 questions were. I'm going to read a scripture. Then we're going to go through those 4 questions, and we'll answer them together. Well, I'll answer them, and your part of together is listening to me. And then we'll open it up. If anyone has any additional questions about this, we can field those in a minute. So 4 questions were all kind of varied. First one was about college admissions. Someone had a question about, hey, I'm going to be graduating soon. When I graduate, I'm going to be talking to a lot of these adults that I don't know in this kind of high-pressure situation where they're trying to decide if I can go to this college or not. It feels a lot like an interview. It's very nerve-wracking. What do I do? Which is an excellent question. The other one was kind of on the flip side of something I talked about last week. This person said, I have a friend. That friend has already expressed to me that they have a crush on me. Ooh. And I don't feel the same way about them, and I'm not sure how to share that with them without crushing them, which we will get to. Another question, somebody has a friend, and the friend doesn't have a crush on them or anything, but that friend struggles with feelings of jealousy for one reason or another. They didn't go into specifics, but they have a friend that's very jealous of them for a couple of reasons, and they've had some difficulty in the past where they can't really let go of that jealousy, and it's kind of creating a rift in that relationship. And then the last one, they feel that they're getting to an age where they may start dating soon. They haven't really talked to their parents about how their parents feel about that, and they're afraid that if they ask their parents about it, their parents are going to say, no, you can't date right now, you're not ready, and all that stuff, which is scary. All 4 of those questions are very varied, but they have a theme. So I'm going to open up with scripture, and we're going to dig into this, okay? So I'm going to be reading out of 1 Peter 1:13. It says, the title of this is a call to holy living, not the title of the lesson, but the title of this verse. It says, therefore, with your minds ready for action, be sober-minded and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. And as obedient children, do not be conformed to the desires of your former ignorance. But as the one who called you holy is holy, you are also to be holy in all your conduct. For it's written, be holy because I am holy. So I'm going to focus on this part. Therefore, with your minds ready for action, be sober-minded and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the desires of your former ignorance. So you guys might have learned this in school or on YouTube or on the internet somewhere, but are you guys aware that when you're in these really stressful situations where you have to have a really serious talk with somebody or somebody confronts you about something that's very serious, that in those situations your body reacts the same way to those types of confrontations as it would to like a physical altercation. Right? And you guys aware of this, the idea of like fight or flight. Has everyone heard of that? I'll show of hands, fight or flight. So, and that's true. When you're in these really uncomfortable situations, even if there's no like physical danger, someone's just like, hey, can I talk to you? Sometimes that's enough. Has anyone ever had a friend come up and be like, or a parent and be like, hey, can I talk to you? And all of a sudden you're like, that I'm moving to Germany because I can't handle anything that's happening right now. It's super scary. For me, physically, I can feel it, where if I'm about to have one of these conversations with someone or someone approaches me, I feel it literally in my cheeks. Like it feels like I just bit into something moldy. Like my cheeks feel really hot and heavy, and I can feel my face shrivel up, and it goes back into my throat, and it's super, super uncomfortable. Well, the reason for that is because it's extremely scary, and you're getting adrenaline because you're not prepared for this type of situation. So what I would like to do is to get us in an environment where we are prepared and we are comfortable for those situations. So 1 Peter 13 says, with a mind for action, be sober-minded, right? And for me, what that means in these types of situations is that if you're prepared for them and you can walk into them with comfort and confidence and with your mind on God and your mind on keeping yourself controlled, that these things that sound really big might not be that big at all. So we're going to go into the first one. The first one was about college admissions. So is anyone here getting ready to graduate or about to be going into college or getting close? So college admissions, for those of you who don't know, is the act of when you're ready to go into college, there's a person that works for that college, and the two of you sit down and you start talking about like, are you smart and are you cool and do you belong here? That's not really what they talk about, but it can feel like that. It kind of feels like an interview where like they're like interrogating you about like, do you deserve to go here and are you smart enough to go here? And what I want you to take away from this is that interviews and college admissions and things like that, where you're talking to a big scary adult about these types of things, college admissions is not an interrogation where the person is making sure that you will fit in at this college. What can be a very comforting thought, I hope, to all of you, is that in those situations, they want you to go to that college. It's kind of flipped. They're not making sure that like you can hang. They're not gonna like introduce you to the other kids and see if the other kids like you. And they're like, well, sorry, but Jim said you smelled weird. So maybe community college, maybe you should be a welder. You should be a welder, by the way, it pays very well. But college admissions is a person trying to convince you to go to that college. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you're ready to go to college, you have got a lot of options, like a ton. The second you start getting close to graduating, you're gonna start getting letters and emails and maybe even texts and be hit up on social media for like, hey man, how would you like to spend your $50,000 down in Florida at this college that you've never heard of? We'd really like you to come. Then you go down there. So flip it. The next time you're nervous about talking to somebody about this kind of thing, or the next time you're nervous about it, like an interview, let's say, if you're not going to college yet, is anyone getting ready to have their first job or is applying for their first job, things like that? It's kind of in your mind now. Here's something to keep in mind, okay? When you're interviewing for a job, just imagine this. And if you're not yet, imagine when you will be interviewing for a job. How many people feel like interviewing for a job is begging for that place to hire you? Does anyone feel like that? Kinda, right? Because you feel like, well, there's so many people that can bag popcorn. Like, why would they ever pick me to do that? Stop. Switch that. You're not begging for a job. You have the ability to make and sell popcorn at a movie theater. The movie theater has the financial ability to pay somebody to do that. So that could be you. If you go to a college admissions place, guess what? They want $50,000. You have probably not, but you maybe have borrowed $50,000. That's a whole different conversation that we should talk about. But they want your money, you have the money. You want education, they have education. This is a swap, baby. This is basically the equivalent of like a non-romantic date, except the person you're on a date with is trying to sell you college. And also, you're in an office and they're really old and your mom drove you here in a minivan. It doesn't hold up, but it's kind of like a date. So think of it that way, man. You're just trying to figure each other out. Hey, I have money. Do you want money? They're like, whoa, dude, I want money. I have lessons about accounting. And you're like, whoa, I need lessons on accounting. Let's hit it up. This is unrelated. Don't ever pay $50,000 is so much money. $50,000, that's a crazy amount of money. You can go so many places where whatever you're going to college for does not pay. What do you guys want to go to college for? Someone yell out a degree that you want. What's that? That's an incredible, listen to me now, an incredible thing to go to college for. It's also something that's offered at a lot of places. What are the first 2 years of a political science degree? Like the first 2 years worth of classes. Most likely, it's going to be like English and history and the stuff you've been doing since you were like 6. So you can do that at anywhere. You can do that at a community college. You know what it costs to go to a community college? A firm handshake. You shake their hand and you ask politely and you can go to that college. You know what your grades have to be to go to a community college? I was in school. That's the grades you have to go to community college. You have to go, here's a photo of me in kindergarten. Here's a photo of me in 11th grade. Let's make this happen. It's fantastic. It is such a good way to get your first couple years of college out of the way. You save so much money. Little unrelated. The second question talked about, I have a friend, we're switching gears here, breakneck speed. I have a friend who has told me they have a crush on me. I don't feel the same way. How do I tell this person without crushing them? Here's the secret. You can't. You're gonna crush. It's gonna hurt their feelings so bad. It's gonna be so bad, man. It's gonna hurt their feelings a lot. But guess what? Here's the thing that I hope will help. That's fine. That's just gonna happen. They asked you out. They should hopefully know that there's 50-50 chance. You might say yes, but you might not. And most of the time, you're not. Do you guys understand how many people I asked out between the ages of like 12 and 15? 10,000. I asked out so many people. If you looked at me weird, I would be like, that's my wife. And I would go up and I'd ask you out. Because I was a weird kid, and I shouldn't have done that, and last week's lesson was about how I shouldn't have done that. This week's lesson is about why I shouldn't have done that. It's such an uncomfortable thing. Has anyone been asked out? Has that happened to anybody? How uncomfortable was it? Just make a noise.
My best friend asked me out too. My best friend, like 10 times, and I rejected him like 10
10 times?
He like kept on asking me. I've known him since I was like 2.
10 times?
I've known him since I was 2 also, so he's like...
Okay, my answer to being asked out 10 times is actually a number, and that number is 911. Just call the police on that person. That's crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Don't call the police. But look, when you ask somebody out, that's like really uncomfortable, and you're sweating, and you're hoping they say yes. But just statistically, most of the time, the answer is going to be no. And then one time the answer is yes, and then that lady's name was Logan, and now I'm married to her. I asked people out for so long, and then I was like, maybe I should stop doing this because this is weird, and I should learn about myself, and I should learn to love myself, and then I should learn reasons why I would be compatible with somebody, and then I met someone I was compatible with. Which is why when I tell you don't date till you're 25, that's why. Bro, be single. Go to Guam. Start an apple orchard in Montego. I don't know. Have some fun. Then when you're ready and you're mature and you know stuff, then you can marry somebody. But okay, here's my answer. It's okay to just tell them you're not interested. It's okay. And do it with the knowledge that it's probably going to hurt their feelings. But here's the thing I want you to take away from this. Your responsibility is to be honest and to be kind. Your responsibility is not their emotions or how they react to it. It's not. If they are a good friend and they are of good intellectual standing or good emotional intelligence, they'll take it well and you guys can continue being friends. If they flip out, it's not your responsibility and it's not your fault. And if they flip out, they just did you a really kind thing, which was to let you know in big, bold, capital letters, good choice. Like, hey man, great call, because I'm a little unhinged. So that's cool. So instead of focusing on, I need to figure out a way to reject this person and have them not be hurt, instead focus on, how can I reject this person as kindly, but as honestly and as firmly as possible? And that's where your responsibility ends. However they react to it is their responsibility. And as people, we should know on the flip side too, if you ask somebody out, and you're hoping they say yes, and they say no, it's not their responsibility how you respond, it's yours. So these are some things that we talked about last week, and these are some things that hopefully the next couple times I teach, I can teach about these things too. But it's important to manage those expectations and to know that it's not your responsibility how that person reacts. So in much the same way, we'll kind of go on to the third question. So the third question was, I have a friend, and this isn't a romantic situation, this is a situation where this friend has some very big jealousy issues. They're jealous of me for one reason or another, and it's kind of becoming toxic to our relationship, right? So based off of my last answer, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Is their jealousy of you your fault? Yes or no? It's not. It's not. They are a jealous person. You are a cool person. They're also a cool person. They just happen to be jealous. Here's another question. If they are jealous of you, is it your responsibility to manage their emotions? Yes or no? That's exactly right. You're catching on, baby. It's not. If they're a good friend in a lot of ways, but they also happen to be a very jealous person, it is okay and should be a boundary that you can set with this person. Like, hey, I know that I'm way better at tuba than you, and I'm guessing that's what they're jealous of, because if I ever met someone who was good at tuba, I'd hate him. I'd hate him forever. How dare you? You know I love brass instruments. You know that I've been trying to make it into the swing band for all this time. And you pick up a tuba, and 2 days later, you're freaking Louis Ricardo. That's a made-up name. I don't know who Louis Ricardo is. But look, if you have interests and you have skills and you are excelling at them, that's awesome. And some people who might not be excelling at those things as well will be jealous. And maybe at some points in your life, you're going to be jealous of people who are excelling more than you are at that thing. Your responsibility is to manage that jealousy that you have and turn it into, drive. Maybe it starts as I'm jealous that this person is better at tuba than me, and then you can turn that into energy to practice tuba a healthy amount of time. Don't go, if anyone's seen that movie Whiplash, don't do that. It's a really bad movie about a guy who wants to be a drummer really bad, and he dedicates his whole life to it, and it's fine, but not healthy. Anyway, we're gonna watch it. No, I'm just kidding. But if somebody's jealous of you, that's not your fault. It's not your fault, and it's not your responsibility to manage that. And a healthy boundary can and should be set with people. And it can be as simple as, hey, I realize you're having these emotions, but it's negatively affecting our relationship. I feel like I can't play tuba around you. I feel like I can't hang out with this friend around you, because every time I'm around this friend, you act differently, or you act super mean to them. Or, I can't do these things around you because I'm afraid of how you're going to act and react, and we can't have that. And I want to continue being your friend, but if I'm going to continue being your friend, these things have to be set as boundaries in our relationship. So when they hear that, they can react one of two ways. They can go, man, you're right. I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that the way I was acting was so negative or so toxic. I shouldn't have been doing that. I've got stuff in my own life that I got to work on. I'm sorry. It's one way they can react, in which case, terrific. Or they can react, well, if you're going to keep being my friend, you can't hang out with Jessica anymore. If you're going to keep being my friend, you can't play tuba around me because it makes me feel bad. Sorry, man. That's not your responsibility, and that's not how they should be reacting in this way. That's where the boundaries come in. So, number 4. This person says, I think I'm ready to start dating. I want to talk to my parents about it because I love my parents. I want them to be involved in this decision. I don't want to sneak around behind their back and go on dates with people. I want them to be part of this. But I'm afraid of how they're going to react. So, last week we talked about AARP. Does anyone remember all 4 of those, what they stand for? It was a lot. It's okay if not. They stood for, ask yourself if you should ask this question. Ask the person you'd like to talk to if you can. Ask them for permission to start this conversation. Then, respect and honor their response. And P is proceed with confidence and preparation. So, let's say you're 15, you want to start dating. Your parents have never talked to you about dating, but you're just relatively sure they don't want you to right now, okay? And you want to ask them if you can. So you go, hey, mom and dad, whoever, Bartholomew asked me on a date, and I really like his name, so I'd love to go on a date with Bartholomew. Do you think that's okay? They might say no, and if they say no, like that's tough, and that's really frustrating, or that can be really frustrating. It's not because your parents don't want you to date. I can say with confidence, I know none of your parents. I can say with confidence, they do want you to date at some point in your life. Many of my friends, some of my friends, have kids who are like 2 or 3 years old. I can say with confidence, they don't want that kid dating right now. When that kid's 40, I can say with confidence, they want their kid to be going on dates and maybe getting married and settling down. So at some time between the ages of 3 and 40, your parents are going to be okay with you dating. But it might not be right now, and that's okay. If your parents aren't cool with you dating right now, guess what? They just gave you permission to be single and start an apple orchard in Montego. Or whatever you want to do. Maybe you have hobbies that having a boyfriend or girlfriend would kind of slow you down at. Maybe like rock climbing, and someone you have a crush on really likes video games and doesn't like rock climbing. That's awesome, dude. Spend 2 years rock climbing. That's fantastic. Put it on the back burner and then start. I'm a big fan of living in retirement homes, but I'm not going to do that till I'm 55 because that's not an appropriate time for me to be doing that right now. I'm a really big fan of wearing diapers, but that stopped being the thing I could do about 20 years ago. So in life, I'm not a big fan of wearing diapers. This is a weird example. You know what? I'm a big fan of soft foods. But from ages 5 to 60, it's really important that I eat like solid stuff. So I'm going to be doing that, and then I can start again when I'm older. My point to this is, your parents absolutely are okay with you dating, just maybe not right now. Maybe not that person. Maybe you're like, hey, Bartholomew is like part of a, I don't know, gang, and like it's started a cult out in Montana and he wants to take me there. Do you mind if I go on a date? Guess I'll answer for him. No, like I don't know who Bartholomew is. I'm sure his motorcycle and neck tattoo is very cool. Let's put that on the burner for now, right? It's not that your parents don't think that you're capable of dating. It's not that your parents don't whatever. They might just have boundaries for you. So maybe you can gauge it this way. Hey, mom and dad, love you guys. Love for you to be part of my life and part of my decisions. And also I'm 15, so legally you are part of my life and part of my decisions. Also, thank you for paying rent for the last 15 years. That was really cool of you. So a lot of my friends are dating now. And I feel like at some point that's going to start happening. I'm going to start dating at some point. So what I want to ask you guys is, what are your expectations? What are some things that you look for in my life or who I am as a person that would tell you that I'm ready to begin dating? If and when the time comes and you feel comfortable with that, what are some good things to look for in a boyfriend or a girlfriend? I'm not even a parent yet. I'm tearing up at the idea of my kid asking me that. That's so cool. And if I were broached that way, not like, hey, mom and dad, can I go on a date? That's harsh. That's like, whoa, you were 5-10 seconds ago, and this is hard for me to process. And instead, gauge it as like, hey, eventually I am going to start dating. I don't know if that's going to be now. I don't know if you're comfortable with it being now, but eventually I will. Can you please talk to me and offer me some guidance into how that works? What are healthy things to look for in a partner? What are unhealthy things to be aware of in a partner? What are some things that if I notice a person is doing in my relationship that's a red flag? And these things, if you talk about them beforehand, you really listen to the answers and you're respectful of your parents' wishes, that's going to show them, and again, maybe not now, but that's going to show them that you're at least thinking of the right things and asking the right questions. And eventually, when that day does come, that, not Bartholomew, I'll say Jebediah asks you on a date. Jebediah is really cool and very trustworthy. Jebediah has been a friend of yours for a while. They've earned your trust. They've shown that they are not going to start a cult in Montana. And they've done all these things, and you're comfortable with them, and you like them, and your parents have met them a couple times. Maybe your parents have met their parents. Then, of course your parents are going to be comfortable with that. So, it's okay if they say no. If they say no, that's great. Just be single for a while. Fortnite's a lot of fun. I keep saying I've never played Fortnite. It's really not. I'm playing Cyberpunks. Don't play Cyberpunk. I'm trying to think. Minecraft. Do Minecraft. Ride a bicycle, learn the tuba, start an apple orchard in Montego. You got the rest of your life to be with someone and be married. I love my wife so much. I know it sounds like I'm about to say but, and I kind of am, but I don't want it to come off that way. I love my wife so much. For this being recorded, that's it. There's no but. I just love you so much. But between you and me, if I had never met her, I'd be living in a van in Mexico, like kissing scorpions for money. I'm unhinged. If I had never met her, my life would be so different right now. Probably for the worse. But my point is, living with somebody or being in a relationship with somebody or being married to somebody is a fantastic and something that if it's right for you and you meet the right person is definitely something you should do. But for right now, man, I'm sorry, oh boy, that hurt the teeth to say. But guys, it's so great. Be single for a long time, because once you're not single, if everything works well and the relationship goes well, you're going to be not single for like 60 years. So enjoy it. Those are the 4 questions. Wrapping up, and then we can open it up to Q&A, or maybe not, it's 7:52. Wrapping up, I'm going to read 1 Peter again. We're going to talk about it real quick. Just scroll past it. I apologize. Therefore, with your minds ready for action, be sober-minded, and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. And as obedient children, do not be conformed to the desires of your former ignorance. Life without God, life without Christ, and life without concerted wisdom is a life of making decisions out of fear. When you make decisions out of fear, you can choose to be silent on things you should speak up about. You can choose to lose your temper on things that you should stay calm about. It's Fight or Flight, a very good book called Crucial Conversations, calls it Silence or Violence, right? Life without Christ and life without wisdom is a life where you're making decisions out of what's going to get me out of this uncomfortable thing the fastest. So you're never going to talk to your parents about dating. You're never going to tell someone you're not interested. You're just going to start avoiding them, and then you've lost a friend. You're never going to ask somebody out that you want to ask out. You're never going to go to the college that you really want to go to, but you're super intimidated by because you don't know how to act around this place. You don't feel like you belong. You're never going to continue learning the tuba because your current friend doesn't like you playing the tuba. And you're going to go through life avoiding these things that are uncomfortable. If there is one thing that I can teach to you guys and that I would love for you to come and talk to me about, it's how to face difficult and uncomfortable situations head on. My trick is that I'm a sociopath, and so making people uncomfortable doesn't scare me. But if it does, we can find some healthy things to do. I'm just kidding. I'm not a sociopath. I love you guys so much. So much. If you have any questions about it, please talk to me, talk to Chad, talk to any of your leaders, talk to your parents. For goodness sake, talk to your parents. Even if you don't have questions, just talk to your parents. They're cool. They were kids a while ago. You're a kid now. And one day you won't be. This is making me sad. All right. Love you guys very, very much. Let's close in prayer. And then, no, I know. I was looking at Luke. I was about to say it. And then Noah, who I know, and I was prepared to say this, has a communion thing for us. So let me close out. Dear God, I just want to thank you so much. Just this opportunity to pour into these kids and for all of us to gather together, not only as friends, not only as students and leaders, but as brothers and sisters in Christ, God. The opportunity for us to gather together and to grow closer to each other and to grow closer together through learning more about you. And to learn about how to traverse this life that we have on earth, God, with its ups and its downs and its challenges and its victories. How amazing is it that we get to go through them together and together as a family under you, God, as brothers and sisters. Lord, I pray for the upcoming week and the upcoming month and the upcoming life of all these kids, that they be met with patience and guidance and wisdom for you, God, and that as these difficult situations arise in their life and as things that make them uncomfortable or conversations that they need to have with people occur, God, that they keep their mind focused on you. And with their minds set to action, that they stay sober-minded with the knowledge that you will always be by their side, God. We pray for all these things in your amazing and powerful name. Amen.